on the ship. They were enlisted as part of the crew in the Navy.
Did you go to Great Lakes in the wintertime?
I did.
That's a treat, isn't it?
Actually, I was dying to get outside.
But it's usually frozen and cold.
That's what I've heard, but I didn't get to experience that. Because every time we went outside to like March or anything like that, we were literally head to toe. We would be in our digis, which is the camouflage uniforms that we have now, and then we'd literally be covered head to toe. We'd wear a scarf that covered our mouth and our nose, and then we wore a ski cap that covered our whole face, gloves, a big old parka that's like a big winter coat basically, and everything's waterproof. So the only thing you could actually see of us is our eyes walking around. And then they would make us stand in that uniform for like about 30 minutes prior to going outside. So
then you get hot, wouldn't you?
We got really hot.
Yeah.
We were dying to go outside, and every time we went outside, we were just like, let us play in the snow. And they.
Well, you'll love San Diego if you get to go.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Hopefully. Keep my fingers crossed.
Or Hawaii.
Or Hawaii would be good. Hawaii's kind of far from Colorado, though.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they need us.
So the overheads aren't that bad, right? Makes all of us short people feel tall. Yes? I can touch you with that. That's awesome. Me too. I can't. Rich people.
Just think how loud it would be down here when they're firing the cannons. So they were going out tomorrow. That means we won't be able to come here.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome down to the gun deck. Now I'm sure as all of you look around, you notice why we call this the gun deck, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because of all the guns that are down here. The guns that you see down here are called 24-pound long guns. But by the way that they look, do they look like they weigh 24 pounds to anybody? No. Why do we call it a 24-pound long gun? Why?
The cannonball.
Because the cannonballs weigh 24 pounds, that is right. Now, can anybody maybe throw out a guess about how many pounds these guns actually weigh? Go ahead.
About 2 tons.
2 tons?
Maybe like 120
3 tons.
120 pounds? One more. 60 pounds? How about 6,500?
Oh, I was
That's
close.
6,500 pounds actually these guns weigh. They're very, very heavy. And because of the weight, it actually takes 9 to 14 men to man each gun. But not only the weight of 6,500 pounds, it takes 9 to 14 men, but because of the recoil at 3 to 5 feet at speeds of 45 miles per hour. So basically what that means, this gun goes backwards, and it's going to go back very, very fast. And it's going to have a kick, exactly. You don't want to be behind it when you're standing behind it. Or after you fire it, you don't want to stand behind it. Now, we have about, actually these guns down here, these 24-pound long guns have a maximum fire range of about 1,200 yards, but the most effective is about 400 yards. But back in 1812, battle occurred less than 100 yards away, so you can imagine these shots, these 24-pound shots that could go 1,200 yards, is going to definitely do damage to a ship that's maybe only 25 yards away. Now, we have about 32 24-pound long guns down on this deck. It takes 9 to 14 men to operate each one of these. We also have about 12 32-pound carronades up on the spar deck, which you all seen coming down the ladder wells. Those take about 6 to 9 men to operate each one of those. You also have people manning the sails, standing watch, cleaning, and cooking. How many crew members do you think it took to man this ship in 1812? Go ahead.
450.
Yes. 450 crew members to about 500. So we had up to 500 crew members on this ship, and if you look around, that's really not a lot of space for 500 crew members to be working about. Excuse me. But out of all those crew members, can anybody tell me how many cooks they may have had? All right, no, you guys are done. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Tell me. They don't know? Take a guess. Go ahead, just tell me. 5, 20, 50? One woman. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There was no females on board the ship, believe it or not, but the crew of 500 did only have one cook. There was a second cook brought on the ship, but that second cook was to cook for the captain. So the captain was a very lucky man. Now if you all take a look to your left, forward of the ship, you see this big black doghouse shaped figure right back there. That is known as the ship's caboose. That is where the cook prepared the meals for the crew members. Now the crew members were given 3 meals a day, 2 of which were leftovers and 1 hot meal a day. Now that 1 hot meal consisted of beef, pork, or fish, mixed in with some vegetables. If they had any vegetables, maybe some beans and maybe some rice to maybe make like a stew, if you want to call it stew. It's very mushy, soupy kind of substance. But it was very, very salty. Can anybody tell me why? Why?
Put salt on it.
Put salt on it, stays good. You're on the right track.
Salt
Preserves it, yeah. If you look around, there's no refrigerators, freezers, or ice chests, so you need to be able to preserve that meat by sticking it in barrels of salt down on the orlop deck, which is the 4th deck below. Now, so what the crew, or what the what the cook would do 24 hours prior to mealtime is he'd bring all those meats up and he'd stick it in this tub next to me called the steam tub. Then he'd fill it with fresh water, and every 4 to 6 hours he would actually try to dissolve the meats as much as possible by switching out that water. Now somebody also tell me what goes good with stew, something to eat. Hardtack and cheese. All right, this young lady said hardtack, not cheese, but that would be a good combination. Now, wow, does anyone know what hardtack is? Okay, what is it? Bread. It's bread, right? Well, you're on the right track. On USS Constitution, we actually, what we call it is ship's biscuit. Now, hardtack came about, or ship's biscuit is the same thing as hardtack, but hardtack is known later on after the Civil War. Now, what ship's biscuit is basically like a hockey puck in bread form. It is very, very heavy. It is made with water, flour, no yeast, and is actually double baked. So it has the consistency of a hockey puck. In order to eat the ship's biscuit, what the crew members had to do is they wrap it in their neckerchiefs, kind of like the one I'm wearing around my neck today. And they bang it over something hard, such as the overheads, the guns, the decks, anything to break it up into tiny little pieces so that way they could put it in their stew, and that way their stew would actually soften it up enough for them to eat it. Now, they need something to swallow all of it down, something to drink, something everybody needs. What is it? Water. You'd be surprised how many people say beer, and I'm like, no. All right, but if you actually look in this tub right here, has lots of brass on it. Feel free to touch it. I shine it every day. It is called the scuttlebutt. Now, a scuttlebutt is a double-butted barrel with a scuttle cut out in the middle. That actually held the fresh water for the crew members on USS Constitution. Now, the crew members were only given 1 gallon of water daily to do as they please, whether they wanted to bathe themselves with it, wash their clothes, or drink it. But again, there are no females on board the ship, right? So do you think bathing was a major priority for those crew members? No, 90% of the time they just drank the water. Yeah, and it's kind of weird. But now for those of you of age, what else do we have on the ship for you to drink? Rum. You guys are not of age. Rum, right? All right. If you actually look across from the scuttlebutt, on this side you see the grog tub. Now what grog is a mixture of rum or whiskey mixed with half water. Now what the crew members would do if they were able to afford it when they pulled into port, they would add some sugar, molasses, or some cinnamon to kind of give it a little bit more flavor, or a better flavor I should say. But there's 2 ingredients that they added every chance they got, and it was lemon and lime juice. Why did they add lemon and lime juice?
Scurvy.
Scurvy. And what is scurvy? Exactly. It's a lack of vitamin C by not getting their fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. So they added that lemon and lime juice to prevent scurvy. And also another little fun fact to know about the grog tub is we had Marines stationed on board the ship, right? It's 1812. One of their jobs was to guard the grog tub. Now, if you think about it, it's a little funny, right? But the crew members were only given about a half a pint twice a day of grog. Now, the Marines were there to make sure that each crew member got their serving of grog, but also to make sure that each sailor was drinking their share of grog and not just handing it to somebody else or not saving it for a Friday night. If you were to save it for a Friday night, what would happen if battle came and it was time to go to war and everyone was not sober? You probably wouldn't win any battles, right? So the Marines were there to basically make sure that the crew members were getting their grog, their ration, only their ration, and drinking it. So now another question I have, my last question on this deck, I want to ask you, what is an average working day for you?
Me?
Yeah. You guys don't count.
9 hours.
10 hours? Anybody else? 10 hours? 6 hours? You guys work 6 hours?
Yeah.
You guys are talking about school?
Yeah.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. No, I'm just kidding. So the average work day for most of you about 6 to 8 hours, maybe 10 hours. But back on USS Constitution in 1812, a working day consisted of about 20 hours. 20-hour working days, that's a lot. So you have 4 hours left. What do you want to do with that last 4 hours? You want to go to sleep, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the berth deck, which is the last deck that we will be seeing today. If you actually turn around and go back, there's going to be these ladder wells that are going to be open. Please stay clear of the sailors that are trying to put together some things through this ladder well, but if you keep going, there's about 2 on each side that you can keep going down. All right. Great.
So the ship's going out tomorrow?
It is going out tomorrow.
How long will it be gone?
About 3 hours.
Oh, so you're going to get to navigate it?
I do.
That'll be fun, won't it?
I'm a little scared.
Oh, you'll be okay.